Do you usually straighten your hair?
I used to straighten it a lot.
Why do you not do that now?
It's a lot of effort, takes a lot of time, and it's exhausting.
We're gonna put this in up here towards the scalp, and we're just gonna comb it through. And
wow.
Then, dang, I know, right?
Wow.
And shiny.
It is shiny, yeah.
Today, I'm going to show you how to take your hair from this to this using this. Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a big fan of this. Okay, before we dive in, I do want to say a huge thank you to TYMO for not just sending me out this TYMO Ring hair straightening comb, but also sponsoring this video. And I'm excited to share my personal opinion as a stylist of what I think about this tool and really explain why I think it's got a place not just in my hands, but also maybe your hands too. We're gonna walk through exactly what this is, how it works, and then we're gonna walk through some things that I really like about it, but also some things that you need to be aware of before you buy it. So first things first, what is the TYMO Ring? Well, this is the TYMO Ring, and this is essentially a hair straightening comb. Like I said, if you notice, it's not like your standard flat iron that has two clamps. This actually has a comb-like feature, which you see right here, that the hair travels through that helps to actually straighten your hair. And what we might find is a actually really quick and easy process. So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's pretty easy actually. There's only a few buttons. Right here you have your power button. So when you turn that on after you plug it in. So down here you have your plus and your minus. That turns the temperature either up or it turns it down. Like so. Now this actually has 5 separate temperatures for different textures of hair. The coldest setting is 266 degrees, and the next setting is 302, and the next one up is 338, next one up above that is 374, and then the hottest temperature is 410 degrees Fahrenheit. Now depending on what texture of hair you have or your kind of personal tolerance to heat, you would choose the appropriate temperature for your hair. This heats up into full heat in 60 seconds. And another cool feature is it turns off automatically after 30 minutes. Now, right here along this area in between the combs, we actually have a heat shield. So this whole gray thing is a shield to help protect you from heat so that you don't get too close to the actual heating mechanism that's inside of this. This does still heat up, but not nearly to the point of an iron face or something like that. And realistically, even at its hottest temperature, when I do this, I can still touch this without it burning me. I wouldn't grab onto it and hold tightly for very long. I think it's just great to have regardless. So what comes in the box when you actually order this? Well, this is actually the box, and when you get the box, inside of it will of course be the TYMO Ring. But the TYMO Ring won't be coming by itself. It actually comes with quite a few little accessories. So one accessory are these 2 clips. Now, these clips we'll be utilizing them today so you can effectively straighten your hair. You'll also get this comb. Now, this comb will be used to kind of comb the tangles out of your hair prior to straightening it. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. You also get this glove. Now, if you are sensitive and your hands are sensitive to heat or touch, you can use this glove to make sure that you don't actually burn yourself. Again, it is there to use, but I think it'll be okay either way. And then the last thing they give you, which I don't think is small, is this. Right? I think it's actually cool that they give you this little travel bag. It's great to be able to throw this in before you take off, right? If you're going to travel, and you're good to go. It's a nice little traveling case. I don't know. I think it's a nice touch. Speaking of travel, this is actually set up for travel. It's not only 110 volt, but it's also 240 volt, which is a fantastic little addition. I feel like they really kind of thought this through really well, actually. Why don't we head out to my salon and let's actually use this and show you really what this thing can do. Okay, so this is my amazing model, Kirsten. So here's what we're gonna do. We're basically gonna walk through exactly how to use the ring, actually the process, and see if maybe we transition you from a person who doesn't want to straighten their hair because it takes too long to somebody that actually wants to do it a little bit more often because it's not so bad. So first things first, this is the oil, and this really is a protectant. It's gonna be a little bit of a heat protectant, so it's important that you use, whenever you're using heat tools, that you use some sort of heat protectant to kind of just put a barrier between your hair and the actual heat. And I'm just gonna spray a couple pumps. Yep, we'll start through, go through the ends, both sides, just kind of comb it through. And then once you do that, we're just gonna have you comb some of the tangles out real quick. So this is a little brush that they send you actually with the ring. So we're just gonna kind of brush through that. We would take this and clip some of this out of the way so we can get in a smaller section so you're not trying to deal with everything, right? So then I've got this turned all the way to the highest heat, okay? So we're gonna go through this. I'll grab a section of hair. We're gonna hold onto this pretty tight. We want some tension. We're not gonna pull your hair, but I don't want it totally loose. Okay, that's gonna help us straighten it out. We're gonna put this in up here towards the scalp, and we're just gonna comb it through. Okay, now I'm not going super fast, but I'm also not going super slow. It's kind of just an even pace, but on the slower end. And this is just gonna help minimize the amount of times we have to go through this. So go through it one more time just to make sure that we get fully got kind of a little bit of a tangle at the bottom. And then work it through. And then, dang, I know, right?
Wow.
And shiny.
It is shiny, yeah.
That's impressive.
That is actually quite impressive.
Okay, so let's do another section back here. This is a huge section. This is bigger than I would probably take, but I'm just kind of, again, pushing it.
Seems to be working.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull this out here and just, same speed. You can kind of get the idea of the speed, right?
Yeah, I usually do like a third of that.
Yeah. So all the way through the ends. Okay, let's try the top. The top section has a little bit more curl, so let's get an idea of what that's gonna look like. Okay, I'm gonna go up pretty close to the scalp because I'm not really that worried about burning you, but obviously it's always something you wanna be aware of, but I'm not hyper stressed. I'm gonna give it a little bit of tension, pull through slow. Even paste all the way through the ends. Even grabbing the hair up here, it's not horribly hot. Wow. So what this feels like to me is it feels like instead of using one flat iron, I feel like I'm using each individual one of these little coils is its own little flat iron. Even though I'm taking a larger section of hair, there's small little sections that are going through their own individual little coil, which is its own individual little iron. This is your first time using this.
Yep.
Never touched it before.
Nope.
Okay. So you saw how I did it. Obviously be aware it is warm, but there is that heat shield on it, so you're not gonna feel the full 410 degrees of it. And put it in, yeah. And just hold that good tension. Perfect speed. And you're just gonna go all the way through the ends. And just make sure that you go just as same speed through the ends as you, there you go. That's your section.
Wow.
Done.
That was easy. And you're right, it's not like so hot when you take it right off the straightener.
Yeah.
It like burns your hand.
Yeah. I am impressed. Is that something you would do at home? And in all honesty.
I actually probably would. I haven't done it in a long time because it just didn't seem to make sense, but I've been traveling a lot too, so
This is perfect.
this would be perfect to take when I have to go on trips.
Yeah.
Took no time at all. Like honestly, it was.
No, that is fast. Okay, now that you've seen me use this in real time and now you know how to use it and you saw Kirsten's reaction to it, let me just kind of break down a few things that I really like about it and why I think it might actually make a lot of sense for you if you straighten your hair. Now, the first thing that I like about it is the quick heat up time. And for me, to get it all the way hot in just 60 seconds, that's a big deal. I also love this heat shield, and if you remember, one of the things I love about it is how close you can get to the scalp because of it. And that makes a really big difference in the overall finish. And I think the important thing here is at the salon, it's a lot easier for me to control getting that close to the scalp. However, there's still a part of me that's a little bit hesitant to get too close because I can't feel your scalp, right? I can't feel it the way you feel it. So I'm always a little bit hesitant to not want to burn somebody and get plates too close, but this heat shield really kind of mitigates that concern. So for you at home, it'll be easier for you to get closer to the scalp, eliminating that little bit of kinkiness right at the very root before it goes to straight. And even me at the salon, it mitigates the same kind of concern. Now, I think the major thing that I like about this, and this is probably the largest selling point of the ring, is this comb feature, right? It's the fact that it's actually a comb and not just two plates. So in that situation, I think that this really does do incredibly fast work of getting through that curl, and especially if you've got a lot of hair, it's gonna make it a lot easier. Finally, the last thing that I really like is the price point. I think this punches way above its weight class because this functions every bit as good in terms of getting your hair straight as any $100 flat iron that I've ever used. I was very pleasantly surprised with this. I think you're getting more than you're paying for here. So yeah, I really am a fan. Okay, now with that said, there are a couple things that I think that you should be aware of, right? And they're not things that I don't like about this. They're just kind of things that you should be aware of before you purchase it. Now, one is there is a difference between this and flat irons. And now for me at the salon, I feel like there would be different use cases. Flat irons are capable of creating not just bend and wave in your hair, but also a little bit more bend at the very ends if you want that bend at the ends. And this is going to be a little harder to create that with. It's not going to create actual bend, like literal wave, and trying to get that real bend at the very ends is going to be a lot more difficult too. If I'm honest, One, I still think it did a good job of getting enough. It wasn't board straight and it didn't flip out at the ends to make it look a little bit less polished. It actually did have a little bit of curve, just not a lot. So it's less of a problem and more just of a food for thought. Pay attention just so you know. When I was first reached out to talk about this, I really wasn't sure if I was going to like it because I'm a little bit of a hot tool snob and I really like things that function well, and I'm pretty specific about the way that I want them to function. This surprised me, especially at that price point. Yes. Well done, TYMO. Well done. So again, I want to say a huge thank you to TYMO for sending me out the ring and allowing me to share it with you guys. If you want to learn a little bit more, there is a link in the description where you actually can find the TYMO. But otherwise, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Thank you so much. There's the subscribe button right there. It's totally free, and all the awesome people are doing it. You know what I mean? Like the awesome folks, they're right there. They're like, woohoo, I'm awesome. I'm gonna subscribe to that. None of that was awesome. No, that was not. No, I apologize. So this awesome. Me, not so awesome. There's that. Bye.